Chapter 31:14. The black-clothed old man kept attacking Lu Ming and the others to distract Guillemot. This way, he could hold Guillemot back and prevent him from using the interstar domain transfer array to leave. The other party obviously wanted to hold them back and wait for reinforcements. It was very likely that the other party had even sent a peak God King expert to the Chutian starfield. Although Lu Ming and the others were anxious, there was nothing they could do. Sure enough, after fighting for a while, the interstar domain transfer array on the meteorite lit up. A few figures appeared in the interstar domain transfer array. The figures were completely wrapped in black robes, and their faces could not be seen clearly. They were dressed exactly the same as the men of sacrifice from before. As soon as they appeared, they looked at the distant starry sky, at the place where Guillemot and the black-clothed old man were fighting. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then, they turned into several rays of black light and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Their speed was terrifyingly fast. In a few breaths, the black-clothed men appeared not far from Lu Ming and the others. You came at the right time. These people are our targets. Attack together and kill them. The black-clothed old man said. Kill, kill. A total of 3 black-clothed men attacked at the same time. 3 rays of blood-red saber light slashed towards Lu Ming and the others. The power of the 3 men's attacks was shocking. One of them was not weaker than the black-clothed old man's attack. Without a doubt, he was also a peak Divine King expert. The other 2 black-clothed men were slightly weaker, but they were also terrifying experts. With so many experts attacking together, Guillemot's face changed. We can't leave this interstar domain transfer array. Retreat first, Guillemot shouted angrily. His huge body curled up and protected Lu Ming and the others as he retreated. Clang, clang, clang. Rays of terrifying saber light slashed on Guillemot's scales. Clang. Sparks flew everywhere. However, they did not break Guillemot's defense. How is it possible that he has the body of a divine lord? The black-clothed old man shouted in shock. If they could not break through Guillemot's physical defense with their cultivation, there was only one possibility. Guillemot's physical body was above that of a godly king. Above the godly king realm was the divine sovereign realm, meaning the sovereign of the gods. A divine lord was much stronger than a divine king. Charge! The bone devil's body trembled, but there were only a few scars on his scales. He was completely fine. He continued to lead Lu Ming and the others to charge out. Stop them! The black-clothed old man roared and unleashed his full strength. Terrifying saber lights that seemed capable of splitting the heavens slashed towards Lu Ming and the others. The other black-robed men also launched fierce attacks. However, the bone devil curled up its body and protected Lu Ming and the others. It ignored its own defense and charged forward savagely. The black-robed old man and the others' attacks were constantly knocked away. At this moment, another figure appeared in the interstar domain transfer array. It was a middle-aged man. As soon as he appeared, he charged into the starry sky and attacked the bone demon. This burly man was actually also a peak Divine King expert. In this way, the other party had sent out 3 peak Divine King experts to attack the bone demon. Such a lineup was truly terrifying. In the 9-extinction Heavenly King Palace, unless a Divine Lord took action, no one could fight against them. The 3 peak Divine King experts launched terrifying attacks. One attack after another landed on the bone demon's body. Even though the bone demon had the body of a dark dragon, which was originally a Divine Lord's physical body, he could not take it anymore. His body trembled continuously and the scars on his body increased. If the bone demon relied on the dark dragon's strong physical body, he would definitely not be a match for the other party. Lu Ming's face was solemn. The Sikong family had actually sent out so many experts to kill them. Moreover, 2 of them had revealed their true faces. This showed that they were determined to kill them. You want to stop me with just these few bastards? Dream on. The bone demon roared and a dragon's roar came from his mouth. His body shone with black light as he charged forward continuously. His suicidal attack had finally achieved results. The 3 Divine King realm experts were attacking Guillemot from 3 different directions. Therefore, Guillemot was only attacking one person at a time. The other two black-robed people were not peak Divine King powerhouses. Under the Bone Demon's attack, the powerhouses on that side retreated repeatedly. "Retreat for me!" The Bone Demon roared loudly. Dragon claws stepped out continuously, bombarding the powerhouse in front. Bang! 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 That powerhouse clashed with the Bone Demon several dozen times in a row. Under the Bone Demon's suicidal attack, that person retreated repeatedly. How could the Bone Demon miss such an opportunity? Sweeping up Lu Ming and the rest, he burst out, breaking out of the heavy encirclement all of a sudden. Then, he flew rapidly into the distance. Damn it! Chase! Absolutely can't let them escape. The three peak Divine King powerhouses pushed their speed to the limit and chased after Lu Ming and the rest. Both sides, one chasing and one fleeing, flew out a long distance in a blink of an eye. "Want to catch up to me? Dream on." The Bone Demon sneered coldly. Casting some kind of secret art, his speed became faster and faster, slowly pulling apart the distance between him and the other party. The three powerhouses behind were extremely anxious. The Sikong family head had already given a death order. They absolutely could not let Lu Ming and the rest escape. Lu Ming and the rest most likely already knew the secret. If the Sikong family was exposed as the mastermind behind the theft of the 9 ultimate divine crystal, then the Sikong family would face a disaster. Therefore, Lu Ming and the rest must die. The three powerhouses exerted all their strength and chased after the Bone Demon and the rest. However, their speed was still slower than the Bone Demon. Slowly, the distance between them was pulled apart by the Bone Demon. If this carried on, they would be able to escape sooner or later. Buzz. Right at this moment, the void in front of Lu Ming and the rest suddenly fluctuated. The space was like waves of ripples, rippling. In the next moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the void. It was a middle-aged man. He was handsome, but his face was cold. When he opened and closed his eyes, radiance shot out in all directions. "Kill." The cold middle-aged man spat out a word indifferently. His palm chopped down at the Bone Demon. Suddenly, a blade light burst out from the cold middle-aged man's palm. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. As soon as the blade light appeared, Lu Ming felt a great sense of terror. It was as if he would be destroyed in the next moment. Lu Ming had never encountered such a terrifying enemy in the real world. The blade light was shocking. It cut through the universe and the starry sky as if it was going to split the entire starry sky in half. Lu Ming had no doubt that if this blade light were to strike a planet with life, it would split the planet in half. Not good. The Bone Demon's face changed drastically. He twisted his body and wanted to fly in another direction, but it was already too late. The blade light slashed the Bone Demon's body. Blood splattered everywhere. A wound that was over 1,000 meters long appeared on the Bone Demon's body. It had almost split the Bone Demon in half. Chapter 31:15. Guillemot was severely injured by the slash. He spat out blood and flew out. "Sir God! It's a Sir God!" Guillemot shouted in shock. The cold middle-aged man was actually a Sir God realm expert. A Sir God was the true overlord in 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Mansion. He rarely took action and was invincible. Now, a Sir God had taken action. Family head. The black-robed elder and the other two had also arrived. They exclaimed when they saw the cold middle-aged man. This person was actually the family head of Sikong family. Trash. If I had not taken action personally, they would have escaped. The family head of Sikong family shouted coldly. The black-robed elder and the other two did not dare to make a sound. Peak Divine King was only a step away from a Sir God. However, the difference was huge. It was even bigger than the difference between a peak Divine God and a Divine King. They could not break through Guillemot's defense even if they used all their strength. However, the family head of Sikong family could break through Guillemot's defense with a casual slash. "We are doomed. Let's go." Bone Demon let out a low growl. Ignoring his injuries, he led Lu Ming and the rest in another direction. "You want to leave in front of me?" The family head of Sikong family said coldly. He took a step forward and caught up with Guillemot and the others. His hand was like a blade as he slashed out again. Swoosh. Another shocking saber light chopped towards Bone Devil. This slash had completely locked onto Guillermo. Guillermo could not escape. Puff. The blade light slashed on Gumo's head. Blood spurted out and Gumo's head was chopped off. The Nether Dragon's body was chopped off, and it could no longer protect Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others quickly retreated. They stood in the void with pale faces. Swoosh. A black light shot out from the Nether Dragon's head. It was a black skeleton. It was Guillermo Bone Demon dashed into Lu Ming's glabella and shouted, "It's over, Lu Ming. It's really over this time. I didn't expect to provoke a Sir God. This time, we're going to die together." Sir God. Lu Ming's mouth was filled with bitterness. Behind them, there were 3 peak God Kings. In front of them, there was a God Lord. Divine Lords were too strong. Even the physical body of the Nether Dragon had been easily destroyed. They had no chance at all. Interesting, the Nether Dragon's physical body is controlled by another soul, and it's the physical body of a Divine Lord Realm Nether Dragon. This is a pretty good harvest. The Seekong family patriarch chuckled and put away the Nether Dragon's body. No matter what, the Nether Dragon's body was still a Divine Lord's body. Its entire body was a treasure. Even Divine Lord experts were tempted. Then, the Seekong clan leader looked at Lu Ming and the others. At this moment, within Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, the measure character formula and the battle character formula rapidly shrank to the size of a speck of light to avoid being discovered. Han Ying and Wu Shan's faces paled as their bodies trembled. It wasn't that he was afraid, but that he couldn't control his body when facing such a terrifying existence. What should we do? In Lu Ming's mind, he was rapidly thinking of countermeasures, but none of them would work. Facing such an existence, any schemes were useless. They would be crushed with a single slap. Purple copper coffin. In the end, Lu Ming thought of the purple copper coffin. If it really didn't work, he could only try opening the purple copper coffin. However, facing such a terrifying expert like the Seekong family patriarch, Lu Ming wasn't confident even if he opened the purple copper coffin. Perhaps he wouldn't be able to kill the Seekong family patriarch and might even lose his life. You're called Lu Ming, right? Very good. You're the first in so many years to be able to do this at such a young age. I'll kill you with my own hands. The Seekong family patriarch said coldly as he stared at Lu Ming. Boom. In the next instant, the Seekong family patriarch directly attacked, not giving Lu Ming any room to speak. A vast saber light slashed toward Lu Ming, Han Ying, and the others. It was dazzling, incomparably dazzling. In the eyes of Lu Ming and the others, there was only this saber light left. Everything else had disappeared. The saber light slashed toward them, but Lu Ming and the others didn't move at all. It wasn't that they didn't want to move, but they couldn't. Move. Lu Ming roared in his heart. He wanted to take out the purple copper coffin and fight to the death, but his body couldn't move at all. He was suppressed by an invisible force. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He knew that he was still naive. Facing an expert like the Seekong family patriarch, even if he had a killing weapon like the purple copper coffin, he couldn't use it. He couldn't even fight to the death. Could it be that I'm really going to die here today? Lu Ming sighed in his heart. At this moment, thoughts flashed through his mind. It looked like the saber light was about to land on Lu Ming and the others. If this saber light really landed, Lu Ming and the others wouldn't even have a speck of ash left. However, at this moment, ripples appeared in the space in front of Lu Ming and the others. Then, 2 huge pitch-black fingers stretched out from the ripples and caught the saber light that was slashing down violently. An unbelievable scene appeared. The saber light that the Seekong family patriarch had slashed out, which could destroy everything, was actually caught by the 2 fingers. Following that, with a slight tremble of his finger, the saber light shattered with a bang. Lu Ming, Han Yi, Wu Shan and the rest, as well as the 3 peak God King experts behind them, were dumbstruck. The attack of a divine monarch had actually been destroyed so easily. Exterminating finger, heavenly monarch. The Seekong family patriarch's expression changed drastically. In the end, his voice actually trembled and his face was filled with horror. Seekong Nan, how dare you? A dignified voice suddenly sounded, reverberating in the universe's starry sky. Then, the two fingers retracted. A figure suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others. This person was tall and sturdy, wearing luxurious clothes. Lu Ming and the others only saw the back view, but they still felt endless majesty. This person's aura was as vast and endless as the universe's starry sky. Heavenly King. Subordinate Sikong Nan pays respect to the Heavenly King. The Sikong family patriarch's expression was extremely ugly, but he still cupped his fists respectfully and bowed respectfully. His eyes were filled with horror. Lu Ming and the others were shocked. Heavenly King? In the nine-extinction Heavenly King manner, there was only one person who was called a Heavenly King and could make Sikong Nan so fearful and respectful. That was the ruler of the nine-extinction Heavenly King manner, the nine-extinction Heavenly King. However, why would the nine-extinction Heavenly King come here? Behind, the faces of the three-peaked divine monarchs also changed wildly, becoming incomparably ugly. The nine-extinction Heavenly King didn't speak. He just looked at Sikong Nan coldly. Sikong Nan forced a smile on his face and said, Heavenly King, why did you suddenly come here? Could it be that you passed by chance? This subordinate has something to do. After it's done, I'll immediately report to the Heavenly King. After saying that, he gave a look to the three-peaked divine monarchs behind him, letting them take action and kill Lu Ming and the others. Chapter 31:16. The appearance of nine-extinction Heavenly King shocked Sikong Nan. He wanted to kill Lu Ming and the rest before they could speak. Horan? 1? W? 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 R? A? N? W? E? N? C? M? M? The faces of the three-peaked Divine King experts changed. They gritted their teeth and were about to attack Lu Ming and the rest. Whoever wants to die can try it. Nine-extinction Heavenly King said faintly. The three-peaked God King experts froze, not daring to move an inch. Heavenly King, these people are criminals. They are extremely vicious and must be killed as soon as possible. Sikong Nan said, Nonsense, Heavenly King. We found out that the Sikong clan leader is the mastermind behind the theft of the nine-extinction divine crystal. He wants to kill us. Lu Ming shouted, Little brat, you're spouting nonsense and dare to slander me. You deserve 10,000 deaths for your crimes. Sikong Nan's face changed drastically. A terrifying aura burst out from his body, and he was about to kill Lu Ming. However, nine-extinction Heavenly King took a step forward, and the void shook violently. A terrifying force rushed towards Sikong Nan and crushed Sikong Nan's aura. Sikong Nan's body shook, and he retreated. Heavenly King, what do you mean by this? Sikong Nan's face turned ugly. Sikong Nan, do you really think I was passing by? Nine-extinction Heavenly King asked coldly. Is it not? Sikong Nan's face turned ugly. I already knew that there was a mole behind the theft of the nine-extinction divine crystal. I also suspected you, but there was no evidence. That's why I didn't make a move and waited for you to give yourself away. This time, you really made a move. Not only did you come personally, but you also sent out all the experts of the Sikong clan. I naturally have to come and take a look. Nine-extinction Heavenly King said coldly. You followed me here? Sikong Nan's face turned ugly. That's right. Nine-extinction Heavenly King's eyes turned cold and said, Tell me, why did you do this? Who ordered you to do this? Heavenly King, it's a misunderstanding. I'm not a mole. You can't just listen to that brat's words. Sikong Nan shouted. You're still quibbling even now? Do you think I'm that stupid? Speak. Who told you to do this? The nine-extinction Heavenly King shouted, and a terrifying aura soared into the sky. Facing this aura, Lu Ming felt that he was like an ant. The difference was too great. Sikong Nan's figure also shook violently as he retreated continuously. It was difficult for him to withstand the nine-extinction Heavenly King's aura. Sikong Nan's expression flickered. Suddenly, he looked behind Lu Ming and the others and roared. What are all of you doing? Finished speaking, Sikong Nan's figure suddenly charged madly backwards. He actually used a diversion tactic, wanting to seize the opportunity to escape. How naive of you to play such petty tricks in front of me. The Nine Extremes Heavenly King said coldly and then slammed his palm into the air. Boom. The sky shook violently. An enormous palm formed and pressed down on Sikong Nan. Break. Sikong Nan roared as a saber appeared in his hand. He slashed out with all his might. A dazzling saber light soared into the sky and slashed at the palm that was pressing down on him. This saber was at least several times stronger than the one that slashed at Lu Ming and the others previously. However, when the saber light slashed on the palm, it shook violently and then exploded with a bang. The violent palm force blasted down. Sikong Nan screamed as his body flew out and crashed into a huge planet in the distance. Boom! The planet roared violently. Half of the planet directly exploded. Like a dazzling firework, flames shot out in all directions. Fortunately, that planet was a dead planet without any living creatures. Otherwise, who knows how many creatures would have died. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. A divine lord that surpassed the divine king realm was simply ridiculously strong and unimaginable. This is the realm that I want to pursue, above the divine king realm. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. He always remembered that Xian Yinqing wanted him to reach above the divine king realm before he went to find her. He must reach this realm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, behind Lu Ming and the others, the three-peak divine king experts' faces changed drastically. They actually turned into 3 rays of light and flew back madly. They were trying to escape. You still want to escape in front of me? Nine Extinction Heavenly King's cold voice sounded. He then stretched out his finger and pointed 3 fingers in the air. 3 huge fingers formed and pressed down on the three-peak divine king experts. The three-peak divine king experts screamed in horror. They realized that they could not avoid this move at all. Bang, bang, bang. 3 explosions sounded. The three-peak divine king experts' bodies directly exploded and died on the spot. Lu Ming broke out in a cold sweat. The strength of the 9 Extremes Heavenly King was too terrifying. Those were 3 peak divine kings, who were on par with the family head of the Jin family. However, they were easily killed in seconds. It was as easy as crushing 3 ants. At this moment, Sikong Nan flew out from the half-destroyed planet. He was not dead, but he was in a sorry state. His hair was disheveled and his clothes were torn. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. A divine lord would naturally not die so easily. But that move just now still caused him to suffer heavy injuries. As divine lords, the difference in strength between Sikong Nan and 9 Extinction Heavenly King was huge. Heavenly King, spare my life, spare my life. Sikong Nan shouted. He knew that with his cultivation, it was impossible to escape from 9 Extinction Heavenly King's hands. So, he begged for mercy. Speak. Who ordered you to do this? You must have a purpose for doing this. What is your purpose? 9 Extinction Heavenly King shouted coldly, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Sikong Nan shuddered. He had no doubt that 9 Extinction Heavenly King would kill him, even though his sister was the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion's princess consort. It's 9 Blades Heavenly King. 9 Blades Heavenly King asked me to do this. He said that there was a way to make my cultivation breakthrough. I have been trapped in the Divine Lord realm for too long. So, I was muddle-headed and listened to his words. Heavenly King, spare my life. Sikong Nan shouted. 9 Blades Heavenly King. 9 Extinction Heavenly King's eyes flashed with cold light. He and 9 Blades Heavenly King were enemies. They had fought for countless years, and neither could do anything to the other. They had a feud when they were young. When they were young, 9 Extinction Heavenly King had once killed 9 Blades Heavenly King's younger brother. So, for so many years, 9 Blades Heavenly King had always wanted to take revenge and destroy the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. What is his purpose for asking you to steal the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal? 9 Extinction Heavenly King asked. He asked me to be the mastermind behind the scenes to steal the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal. Then, he would let the major families in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion be suspicious of each other and fight with each other to exhaust their strength. causing the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion to fall into internal strife. In this way, when the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion's strength is weakened, he could lead the army and destroy the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion in one fell swoop. Sikong Nan explained everything in detail. I see. Lu Ming suddenly realized. The other party's purpose was to make the major families in the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion be suspicious of each other and fight with each other, causing them to fall into internal strife and internal strife to weaken the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion's strength. P.S. Readers, I am Shepherd Boy Ting Zhu. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Chapter 31:17. One had to admit that Sikong Nan's plan was brilliant and almost succeeded. WW? During this period of time, the major families of the nine extinction Heavenly King Mansion were indeed suspicious of each other and attacked each other. The conflict was getting deeper and deeper. If this continued, it was not impossible for it to evolve into a fierce war. What else? The nine extinction Heavenly King's face was even colder as he asked coldly, "No, that's all. Heavenly King, spare me. I was blinded for a moment and made a big mistake. I won't dare to do it again. For the sake of my sister, spare me." Sikong Nan shouted and continued to beg for mercy. Some things, once you make a mistake, you have to pay a heavy price. If I spare you, how will I explain it to others in the future? Who will listen to me in the future? The nine extinction Heavenly King said faintly, but his voice contained a cold, murderous intent. Sikong Nan's face was ugly. He gritted his teeth and rushed to the back, trying to escape. Swoosh! The nine extinction Heavenly King also moved. His speed was unimaginably fast. In a flash, he closed the distance between him and Sikong Nan. After a few flashes, he caught up with Sikong Nan and pointed a finger. The void vibrated like a wave, making a terrifying explosion sound. A huge finger pressed towards Sikong Nan. Sikong Nan roared in horror and tried his best to resist. However, his attack and his defense were constantly crumbling under the attack of the nine extinction Heavenly King. Ah, nine extinction, you will die a horrible death. And that kid, he will die a horrible death. Sikong Nan roared angrily, but in the next moment, his cry came to an abrupt end, because his body directly exploded under the finger of the nine extinction Heavenly King. Even with his powerful vitality in the Divine Lord realm, it was useless. His body exploded, his soul was annihilated, and he completely disappeared from this world. A terrifying Divine Lord realm powerhouse was killed just like that. The chaotic universe, the upper-class world, was so cruel. No matter how high your cultivation was, there would always be someone stronger. If you could not be the strongest, you could fall at any time. In the vast chaotic universe, there were countless powerhouses falling at all times. Therefore, at all times, every cultivator wanted to improve themselves and break through to a higher realm. In order to break through, they would do anything. Just like Sikong Nan, he was trapped in the first level of the Divine Monarch realm for countless years. In order to break through, he betrayed the nine extinction Heavenly King and helped the Dark Ice race steal the nine extinction Divine Crystal. He wanted to cause internal strife in the nine extinction Heavenly King Palace. After killing Sikong Nan, the nine extinction Heavenly King waved his hand and grabbed Sikong Nan's storage ring. Then, a huge nether dragon corpse appeared in the air. "This is yours, right? Take it back." The nine absolutes Heavenly King said. "Lu Ming, put it away. The nether dragon's body has been destroyed. It's useless to me, but it's still very useful to you." Bone cried out in his sea of consciousness. "Thank you, Heavenly King." Lu Ming cupped his fists in thanks and then put the nether dragon's corpse into a spatial ring. This time, being able to make Sikong Nan give himself away and ferret him out, "You've done a great service." The nine extinction Heavenly King looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. "I'm just trying to protect myself. It's not a great service." Lu Ming said, "No matter what the reason is, it's all because of you that we ferret out Sikong Nan. Naturally, you have to be rewarded." How about this? I promise you a condition. As long as it's within my ability, I won't refuse. The Nine Extinction, Heavenly King said. These words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. Han Ying and Wu Shan were even more envious. This is a condition from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King. It's simply priceless. What condition do you want to put forward? The Nine Extinction, Heavenly King asked. Heavenly King, can I put this condition aside first? Can I mention it after I've thought about it? Lu Ming said. Now, Lu Ming had not thought about what condition to put forward. A condition from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It must be used on the edge of the blade. It would be best to mention it when needed. This little guy is quite smart. All right, mention it when you've thought about it. Take this voice transmission Jade Talisman. If you've thought about it, you can send me a voice transmission at any time. After saying that, the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King took out a voice transmission Jade Talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Thank you, Heavenly King. Lu Ming received it with joy. All right, I have to go back and deal with the Sikong clan. I'll take my leave first. The Nine Extinction, Heavenly King left a sentence and took a step out. The void was filled with ripples, and the figure of the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King had disappeared without a trace. Obviously, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King did not intend to stay in the Sikong clan. One could imagine the fate of the Sikong clan. Shuttling through the void. A Divine Lord powerhouse is really terrifying. Lu Ming sighed. This was the chaotic universe where the space was extremely stable. After Lu Ming came to the chaotic universe, it was the first time he saw someone who could travel through the void. Sikong Nan had used it before, and now the Nine Extinction Heavenly King was doing it too. Kid, this is not shuttling through the void. In the sea of consciousness, Gumo's voice sounded. Not shuttling through the void? Lu Ming was surprised. Previously, Sikong Nan and the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King appeared suddenly. If it was not shuttling through the void, what was it? The space of the chaotic universe is extremely stable. It is not comparable to a small kiliacosm. Moreover, the chaotic universe is vast and boundless. Its territory is many times larger than a small kiliacosm. It is too difficult to travel through the void and cross the endless starry sky. Guamo sighed. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, the area of a small kiliacosm like the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm was far smaller than a planet of life, let alone compared to the endless starry sky of the universe. In a small kiliacosm, to be able to travel from one end to the other, in the chaotic universe, it was only equivalent to a small distance on a planet. In the starry sky, it was nothing. Then what are they doing? Lu Ming asked. After breaking into the Divine Lord realm, they can use an unrivaled technique to carve a starry sky transmission array on their body. This is what they are doing by activating the starry sky transmission array and sending themselves out. This is similar to passing through the void in a different way. Guamo explained. To be able to carve a teleportation array on one's body? How amazing! Lu Ming exclaimed. By carving a teleportation array on one's body, one's movement would be many times faster. There would be no need to take other teleportation arrays. Of course, this method still has its weaknesses. In some aspects, it is not as good as shuttling through the void. For example, it takes time to activate the teleportation array. In a battle, the opponent will not give you time to activate the teleportation array. Another thing is that it can only be used by one person and cannot be used by others. Guamo said. Lu Ming nodded. No wonder Sikong Nan did not use the teleportation array to escape. It was because he did not have time to activate the teleportation array. He was afraid that he would be killed by the Nine Extinction Heavenly King before he could activate it. The other thing is that it can only be used by oneself and cannot be used by others. One should know that one can bring others along with them when shuttling through the void. P.S. Readers, I am the Shepherd Boy Ting Zhu. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, zero advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Chapter 31:18. Although there was a weakness in carving a teleportation formation on his body, Lu Ming was envious of it. The Eldritch universe was too big. He had to spend a lot of time every time he traveled. If he could carve a teleportation formation on his body, he would be able to travel much faster. However, he could only be envious. That was the symbol of the Divine Lord Realm. Only a Divine Lord Realm expert could do it. Even a peak Divine King could not do it. He shook his head and threw the thought to the back of his head. He was still too far away from the Divine Lord Realm. It was better for him to take it one step at a time and slowly improve himself. Let's go. We'll find a place to rest. Lu Ming said. This matter was finally resolved, and the crisis was completely eliminated. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief and felt relaxed all over. All right. Wu Shan and Han Ning nodded. Then, they left the place in a flash. On a desolate planet, Lu Ming and the others landed. They then consumed a divine pill and began to recuperate. A few days later, they had recovered to their peak state. Miss Han Ning, what's your plan next? Lu Ming asked Han Ning. I want to return to the Han family and bury the Han family members. Han Ning said. At this point, she revealed a mournful expression. We'll go with you. After we're done with the Han family, follow us to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion to cultivate. Lu Ming said. The Han family was annihilated and Han Ning was the only one left. She had no one to rely on. If she followed them to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, even if she could not enter the Starry Camp, it was better to cultivate in the Wu family than to wander outside alone. Then, Han Ning would like to thank young Master Lu. Han Ning bowed. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Immediately, they headed towards the Han family. After some time, they returned to the Han family. The Han family was annihilated and no one survived. When they returned, they found that there were many more people in the Han family's territory. Many people flew in and out, moving back and forth. I'm the one who found this storage ring. Piss off. I came first. You're the one who should get lost. You're courting death. In a dilapidated palace, a few loud shouts could be heard. Then, a few figures started fighting with each other. Strong energy overflowed, causing the already dilapidated palace to be destroyed even more quickly. These people, Han Ying's eyes instantly reddened with murderous intent. Obviously, these people were fishing in troubled waters, taking advantage of the situation to loot. The Han clan was one of the 2 overlords of the Chu Tian starfield. Before they were destroyed, no one dared to do anything to them. But now that the Han clan had been destroyed, other than a few precious treasures that had been taken away by the Sikong clan, the ordinary treasures were all left here. Naturally, it attracted a large number of people. At first, no one dared to make a move. But after a while, seeing that nothing was wrong, cultivators from the Chu Tian star field swarmed over to steal the Han family's treasures. It was so much so that some of the Han family's people were stripped of their clothes and weapons. No wonder Han Ning had such an expression. All of you, scram. Lu Ming took a step forward and suddenly shouted. His voice was like thunder, causing the few people who were fighting to stop. Where did this brat come from? Are you trying to mess with us? Hurry up and scram. A middle-aged man glanced at Lu Ming and scolded disdainfully. I'll give you one last chance. Put down your storage rings and scram. Otherwise, die. Lu Ming said with a sullen face. Arrogant. I think you'll be the first to die. The burly man was impatient. He swung the battle axe in his hands toward Lu Ming. This burly man's cultivation level was not weak. He was a half-step divine king. However, he was a far cry from Lu Ming. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it, Lu Ming said indifferently. He threw a punch and a 9-clawed dragon flew out and pounced forward. Puff. The middle-aged man was directly torn apart by the 9-clawed dragon and died on the spot. When the others saw this, their faces turned pale with fright. I'll go now. I'll go too. The few of them threw down their storage rings and quickly ran away. Looks like we have to get rid of these rascals first before dealing with the Han family's affairs, Lu Ming said. Young Master Lu Ming, please, Han Ning said with a sobbing tone. Her eyes were red. At this moment, she was angry and helpless. Don't worry, let's go. Lu Ming nodded and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Lu Ming, Wu Shan and Han Ning headed towards the core of the Han family. Kill. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He thrust out his spear and spear light shot out like shooting stars, killing 5 or 6 experts who were trying to take advantage of the situation. The remaining people were terrified and quickly ran away. The 3 of them killed their way in. Along the way, they did not encounter any powerful experts. The strongest one was only at the 2nd heaven of the Divine King realm. He was easily killed by Wu Shan. Soon, they arrived at the core of the Han family, which was also the place where the main house of the Han family was located. This place used to be a boundless mountain range with rich divine qi. It was a blessed place with many palaces. However, the mountain range had collapsed and the palaces were destroyed. Only ruins were left. Many corpses were lying in the ruins. 6th Grandpa, 8th Grandpa. Han Ying cried when she saw the corpses of the old men. They were her family members. "Who are you? Get out of here." At this moment, a few figures flew out from the core of the Han family. Some of them were middle-aged and some were old men. They glared at Lu Ming and the others and said, "The Hanli sect has booked this place. Get out of here, or you'll die. Do you understand?" An old man shouted coldly, "Hanli sect? You're from the Hanli sect." Han Ying shouted, "Since you know we're from the Hanli sect, get out of here." The old man waved his hand. "What kind of force is the Hanli sect?" Lu Ming asked Han Ying through voice transmission. The Hanli sect is a powerful force in the Chu Tian star field. They used to be second only to the Han family and the Wind Moon sect. They had a good relationship with the Han family. I didn't expect them to take advantage of the situation after the Han family was destroyed. Damn it. Han Ying gritted her teeth. "I see." Lu Ming nodded. It turned out that the Hanli sect was second only to the Han family and the Wind Moon sect in the Chu Tian star field. No wonder they were so overbearing and occupied the core of the Han family. "I don't care which sect you are from. If you don't want to die, get out of here." Lu Ming waved his hand and said, "What? Boy, what did you say?" The old man shouted. He was surprised that someone in the Chu Tian star field dared to talk to him like that after hearing the Hanli sect's name. He was courting death. "Boy, you're dead for what you said. Kill." The old man shouted coldly and slapped Lu Ming. The old man's cultivation was not weak. He was at the 1st heaven of the King God realm. The wind from his palm whistled and was very powerful. "Leave it to me." Wu Shan, who was next to Lu Ming, stepped forward and threw a punch. Chapter 31:19. Wu Shan punched out, and a fist energy as big as a mountain crushed towards the old man. Bang! Wu Shan had the cultivation base of the 3rd King God realm. The old man couldn't resist him. His fist energy exploded, turning the old man into ashes. "You! How dare you kill the people of the Hanli sect? You're courting death. Send the signal." The remaining few people were shocked and furious. One of them let out a long howl, and his voice spread far and wide. Swoosh! 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 Immediately, many figures flew out from the core of the Han family. There were at least 20 of them. Each of them had a powerful aura. All of them were experts at the Divine King realm. The Hanli sect was second only to the Han family and the Wind Moon sect. They were even stronger than the Ice Soul race in the Qin Tian star zone. There were more than 20 Divine Kings in the group. Soon, more than 20 people arrived before them. "What happened?" A young man in his 20s asked with a cold face. He was holding a folding fan. "They killed Guardian Wang." One of them pointed at Lu Ming and the others and shouted, "What? Guardian Wang is dead? They're courting death." The young man shouted angrily. He looked at Lu Ming and the others with murderous intent. However, when his gaze landed on Han Ying, he was stunned for a moment and revealed a look of surprise. "Han Ying, it's you. You're not dead." The young man shouted, "Sun Yan, how dare you? Why did you bring people to occupy the core area of my Han clan?" Han Ying shouted. They knew each other. They were all elites of the Chu Tian star zone. It was normal for them to know each other. Sun Yin's eyes flashed. He laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, Han Ying, do you still think you're the young lady of the Han family? Now that the Han family has been destroyed and all of their experts are dead, the Hanli sect is the leader of the Chu Tian star zone. Do you understand?" At this point, Sun Yin's gaze swept over Han Ying's body. His eyes were fiery and flickered with an evil light. In the past, I pursued you bitterly, but you didn't even spare me a glance. Hee. Now that the Han family has been destroyed, let's see who you can rely on. Good. You're not dead. I'll take you down and make you my toy. Let's see how arrogant you can be. Ha ha ha. Sun Yin laughed. His eyes were burning. You dare. Han Ying's face turned pale with fright. Where did this idiot come from? Why are you shouting here? Get out of here. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward. He glanced at Sun Yin coldly and reprimanded him. Sun Yin nodded. Only then did he notice Lu Ming. He looked at Lu Ming and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Brat, what did you say? You can't hear what I'm saying. Looks like your ears aren't good either. Lu Ming said indifferently. You're courting death. Men, kill him for me. No, cripple him for me. I want to feed him to the dogs. Sun Yin shouted coldly, his killing intent as cold as a blade. In his opinion, Lu Ming was just a follower of Han Ying. He was probably a lucky survivor of the Han family. Now that the Han family had been destroyed, Lu Ming actually dared to speak to him in such a manner. He was simply courting death. Previously, he had been suppressed by the Han family. Now, the anger he had suppressed completely erupted. Young master, leave it to me. Behind Sun Yin, a skinny man stepped forward and clawed at Lu Ming's throat. This young man was at the first king god realm. In his opinion, Lu Ming was just a heavenly god. It would be easy for him to cripple Lu Ming. He didn't even use his full strength this time. You're just a servant of a wild dog. How dare you bark? Die. Lu Ming shouted coldly. A long spear appeared in his hand. The battle symbol secret art increased his fighting strength by 4 times. He thrust the spear at the skinny man. The spear light was dazzling like a meteor. It moved at an extremely fast speed toward the skinny man. Puff. The spear light pierced through the skinny man's palm as if it had pierced through tofu, leaving a bloody hole. The skinny man screamed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Although he hadn't used his full strength, he was still at the first king god realm. However, he was injured by a heavenly god realm cultivator. At the same time, he couldn't believe it. Moon slashing. After Lu Ming's spear pierced through the skinny man's palm, he continued his attack. The 9 types of god energies in his body exploded. The 9 types of god energies, with the awakened god origin factor as the core, rushed into the long spear and exploded, creating a terrifying power. The crowd only saw a crescent moon flash out. Then, they saw the skinny man's body split in half. He had killed a god king in 2 moves. Before Lu Ming transformed into his ancient god body, he wouldn't have been able to kill a god king so easily. However, the skinny man had underestimated him. Lu Ming had seized the opportunity and killed him in 1 move. You. Sun Yin was stunned. He stared at Lu Ming with his mouth agape. A heavenly god could kill a god king. He had never heard of such a thing. He was dumbfounded. If you don't get lost, then die. Lu Ming shouted. His long spear vibrated and turned into a dazzling spear light, thrusting towards Sun Yin. Young master, be careful. Behind Sun Yin, an elder roared. A gush of divine power gushed out and sucked Sun Yin's body behind him. Then, he threw a palm strike at Lu Ming. Boom. Buzz. The old man's palm struck Lu Ming's long spear, causing a violent explosion. Lu Ming's long spear shook violently. Lu Ming was pushed back by a powerful force. He felt his blood and qi churn, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Kill this bastard for me. Sun Yin reacted and roared crazily. Just now, he had almost been killed by Lu Ming. Cold sweat flowed down his back. He was terrified. This feeling made him a little hysterical. Kill. You're all dead. The experts behind Sun Yin roared. Violent auras erupted as they charged toward Lu Ming. The auras of so many experts were terrifying. Han Ying's face turned pale. Wu Shan's aura also erupted as he prepared to attack. Let me do it. Lu Ming's voice resounded. Then, Qiuqiu wriggled and turned into an armor, covering Lu Ming's body. Creak. Boom. Lu Ming threw a punch. Huge lightning bolts that were thicker than a person's waist dashed forward. The attacks that were aimed at Lu Ming collapsed after being hit by the lightning bolts. The lightning bolts didn't stop and continued to strike the experts of the Hanli sect. Boom, boom, boom. The experts of the Hanli sect were like balloons that were punctured. They couldn't withstand a single blow from the lightning bolts. They exploded and turned into ashes under the power of the lightning bolts. At least a dozen experts of the first layer of the King God realm, second layer of the King God realm, and even third layer of the King God realm were turned into ashes and disappeared from the world. Chapter 31:20. Sun Yin was stunned. The remaining God Kings of the Frigidly sect were stunned as well. Their eyes widened as they became filled with extreme fear. More than a dozen Divine Kings had died just like that. They had been killed by Lu Ming in a single strike. They were the core forces of the Hanli sect. Run! Run! Sun Yin shouted in fear when he realized what had happened. He wanted to run away. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. He had killed more than a dozen Divine Kings in a single strike. There were even a few third-layer Divine Kings among them. Even fourth-layer Divine Kings could not do that. He realized that Lu Ming was a demon god that he could not afford to offend. He wanted to leave immediately and get away from Lu Ming. Unfortunately, Lu Ming would not give him the chance to do so. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Lu Ming clenched his fist. Endless lightning gathered in Lu Ming's hand and shot towards Sun Yin and the remaining Divine Kings of the Hanli sect. Young Master, block it, two old men shouted. They appeared in front of Sun Yin and unleashed a terrifying aura. They shot out two beams of divine light to block Qiuqiu's lightning. The two old men were fourth-layer Divine Kings. They were two of the three strongest Divine Kings of the Hanli sect. Together with the Patriarch of the Hanli sect, they were both fourth-layer Divine Kings. This time, the Hanli sect had sent out 90% of their experts in order to completely occupy the Han clan and obtain the treasures of the Han clan. However, with Qiuqiu's current strength, the two fourth-layer Divine Kings could not block Qiuqiu's attack at all. A violent explosion resounded. The divine light that the two old men shot out was directly penetrated by the lightning. The lightning bombarded the two old men's bodies. The two old men's bodies trembled as if they had epilepsy. Their bodies were charred. Although they were not dead, they were half dead. As for the other Divine Kings of the Hanli sect, they were turned into ashes by the lightning. Only Sun Yin and the two fourth-layer Divine Kings who were about to die were left. Sun Yin stood in the air with a pale face. He seemed to be scared out of his wits. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved and appeared in front of Sun Yin. Don't kill me. Sun Yin screamed in horror. I won't kill you because there's someone more qualified to kill you than me, Lu Ming said coldly. Then, he stabbed out with his spear. The long spear pierced into Sun Yin's dantian, extinguishing Sun Yin's divine fire. Afterward, Lu Ming reached out and flung Sun Yin toward Han Ying. Miss Han Ying, I'll leave him to you. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he charged towards the two old men. Those two old men did not have the strength to fight back at all, and were killed by Lu Ming. Han Ying, spare my life, spare my life. Sun Yin screamed miserably. Blasphemy against my Han clan. You deserve to die 10,000 times. Han Ying's voice was incomparably cold, filled with killing intent. He slashed out with his sword, chopping off Sun Yin's head. As a result, all the experts from the Frigidly sect who had come to the Han clan were killed. This time, the Frigidly sect had definitely suffered a heavy loss. 90% of their experts were killed in an instant, and their strength was greatly reduced. It would not be long before they were wiped out by the other forces in Chu Tian Star Zone. After that, Lu Ming and the other two went around the Han clan's territory and chased away all the people who had come to rob the treasure. Then, the three of them worked together to gather all the members of the Han clan. They dug a big hole and buried them, building a big grave. Han Ying knelt in front of the Han clan's grave for 7 days and 7 nights before she got up. Thank you, young Master Lu Ming, for your help. Han Ying is grateful. Han Ying bowed to Lu Ming again to express her gratitude. This time, if it were not for Lu Ming's help, she really did not know what to do. Miss Han Ying, you're welcome, Lu Ming said. He sighed in his heart. Speaking of which, this matter was also caused by him. If he had not been searching for the 9 extinction divine crystal, the Han clan might not have been destroyed. The Han clan will not be destroyed. In the future, I will definitely revive the Han clan. Han Ying's eyes were firm. I believe that you can do it. Lu Ming encouraged her with a smile. Then, the three of them left and headed towards the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace. After a period of time, they returned to the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace safely. This trip to Chu Tian Starfield was considered a success for Lu Ming. He had completely resolved the matter of the 9 extinction divine crystal. As soon as he returned to the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace, Lu Ming heard a piece of news. The mastermind behind the 9 extinction divine crystal was found out. The 9 extinction Heavenly King was furious and the Sikong clan was destroyed. This matter shook the entire 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace and everyone was discussing it. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. This was strength. In the cultivation world and the chaotic universe, everything depended on strength. Otherwise, they would be destroyed. Even if Sikong Nan's sister was the 9 extinction Heavenly King's wife, it was the same. They directly returned to the Wu clan and discussed this matter with Wu Zifeng. Wu Zifeng also sighed. After that, Han Ning stayed in the Wu clan to cultivate while Lu Ming returned to the Starry Sky Camp. The following days were peaceful and Lu Ming focused on cultivating. There were too many things that he needed to cultivate now. Firstly, it was the Overlord Spear Art and War God Strike that he obtained from Chu Baxing. After successfully cultivating the Overlord Spear Art, he would be able to cultivate the Divine Grade Divine Power, the Overlord Spear Force. This would greatly increase Lu Ming's attack power. However, Lu Ming could temporarily put the War God Strike aside for the time being. After all, he had not cultivated the Armageddon 3 strikes to the peak yet. In addition, Lu Ming also felt that he had touched the threshold of 5 times his combat strength. As long as he worked hard to comprehend it, he would be able to control 5 times his combat strength sooner or later. In addition, Lu Ming did not want to give up on the Yin Yang God Eye. This was an extremely powerful secret technique. The deeper one comprehended it, the greater its power. The most important thing was the comprehension of the divine power itself. Although the sovereign divine power had awakened the origin divine power, this was only the first awakening. There would be a second awakening, a third awakening, a fourth awakening. Moreover, some people with terrifying talent could even comprehend the origin divine power from the origin divine power. Every origin divine power was passed down from the primordial divine spirit. Its power was far beyond the current secret techniques. Moreover, Lu Ming had already awakened the Undying Sword Force to 99%. Just one more step, and he would be able to fully awaken it. In that case, Lu Ming's strength would increase by another level. However, all of these would consume a lot of Lu Ming's energy. Lu Ming informed Qiu Yu and entered deep seclusion. Lu Ming planned to cultivate the Overlord Spear Art first. After mastering the Overlord Spear Force, he would comprehend the rest. Lu Ming was already familiar with cultivating the Divine Grade Secret Technique. It did not take long for Lu Ming to comprehend the first level of the Divine Grade Secret Technique and cultivate a strand of Overlord Spear Force. After that, there was no need to continue comprehending it. He just needed to slowly nourish it and strengthen it. Then, Lu Ming's palm glowed and a scroll appeared. This scroll was the one that Blue Merchant had given to Lu Ming. It contained the Blue Merchant's comprehension of the sovereign divine power. Lu Ming opened it and read it carefully. Chapter 31:21. Lu Ming opened the scroll and read it carefully. At first, Lu Ming was still a little confused, but the more he read, the brighter Lu Ming's eyes became. Wonderful, truly wonderful, Lu Ming sighed. Blue Merchant's understanding of the sovereign's god force was too profound. Some of the insights he had read made Lu Ming slap the table in praise. Lu Ming felt his understanding of the sovereign's god force deepening rapidly. In the following days, Lu Ming immersed himself in comprehending the sovereign's god force. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. After 20 years of bitter cultivation, Lu Ming's understanding of the sovereign's god force had reached a new height. However, he was still a long way from the second awakening of his quintessence God Force factor. On this day, Lu Ming received a transmission from Blue Merchant, saying that he had compiled some of the insights on the other God Forces that Lu Ming cultivated and asked him to take them. Of course, Lu Ming ran over eagerly. During this period of time, he had already tasted the sweetness of the Blue Merchant scrolls. With these insights as reference, his cultivation speed was much faster. He could avoid many detours and save a lot of time. This time, Blue Merchant gave Lu Ming 6 different scrolls. These were the other God Forces that Lu Ming cultivated. Although Lan Shang had only cultivated one type of sovereign's divine power back then, his realm had been too high. He had seen other powerhouses use it, and his understanding of other types of divine powers was far beyond Lu Ming's. Many thanks, Lan Shu. Lu Ming put away the scrolls and smiled from ear to ear. Cultivate well. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to look for me. Not long later, there's an important mission for you to complete. This matter is related to whether or not we can overturn Jing Yu's case. Blue Merchant said, "What is it?" Lu Ming's eyes flickered. At present, Lu Ming had 2 important things on his mind. The first was the matter of Jing Yu. Back then, he had sworn to help Jing Yu reverse the verdict. The other thing was that he had to raise his cultivation to the Divine Monarch realm as soon as possible and then go find Xian Yanqing. Therefore, when he heard that he could help Jing Yu overturn the case, he was immediately energized. I'll tell you about this in the future. Right now, you just need to focus on your cultivation, Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming was speechless. He could only take his leave. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming couldn't wait to open the scroll regarding the invincible sword force and read it carefully. Lu Ming's days continued to be peaceful as he cultivated wholeheartedly. His understanding of the invincible sword force was rapidly deepening. In the blink of an eye, another 20 years passed. On this day, Lu Ming's body suddenly emitted an ancient and desolate aura. This was the aura that could only be emitted after awakening the divine origin power factor. However, this aura was slightly different from when the sovereign God Force had awakened the divine origin power factor. This was because the invincible sword force had awakened the divine origin power factor. After 20 years of cultivation, Lu Ming's invincible sword force had finally awakened the divine origin power factor. In this way, Lu Ming had 2 types of God Force that had awakened the divine origin power factor, increasing his battle strength by another level. Moreover, during this period, Lu Ming had been slowly nourishing the Overlord Spear Force. His Overlord Spear Force had been constantly improving and had already condensed a divine flame. Let's go find Uncle Blue Merchant and ask for advice. Lu Ming put away the invincible sword force and then headed toward Blue Merchant's residence. During this period, he had accumulated some questions that he wanted to ask Blue Merchant. Lu Ming arrived at Blue Merchant's residence and saw Lan Ling humph. Lan Ling coldly snorted when she saw Lu Ming. She looked as if she wanted to eat Lu Ming alive. Clearly, she was still holding a grudge against Lu Ming for teaching her a lesson last time. Lu Ming grinned at Lan Ling and then ignored her. He went to find Blue Merchant. After finding Blue Merchant, Lu Ming asked all his questions. Blue Merchant also patiently guided him. In the following days, Lu Ming went back and forth between his residence and Blue Merchant's residence. He would go into seclusion here and there. Lu Ming's schedule was packed to the brim every day. He took turns to study all kinds of God Force skills and secret techniques. His days were very fulfilling. Just like this, more than 100 years passed. It had already been 150 years since Lu Ming returned from Chu Tian Starfield. After this period of bitter cultivation, Lu Ming's foundation was solid. He improved steadily in all aspects, and his strength improved greatly. First, Sovereign God Force. Lu Ming had already cultivated to the peak of the first awakening of his origin God Force. He felt that he was not far from the second awakening. Of course, to cross this step, he needed a fortuitous encounter. He could cultivate so quickly, and it was inseparable from Blue Merchant's guidance. After all, Blue Merchant cultivated Sovereign God Force back then. Therefore, Lu Ming's Sovereign God Force also improved the fastest. In addition, the battle character formula finally broke through and successfully comprehended 5 times battle strength. However, the the success rate was only a few tens of percent. The probability was extremely low. In addition, after so many years, the quantifying character formula also refined a portion of the stellar core's energy and transferred it to Lu Ming, allowing Lu Ming's cultivation to improve greatly. Not only did he cultivate the Conqueror's Spear's force to the peak, his cultivation had also broken through to the 7th level Heaven God realm. In other words, Lu Ming had improved in all aspects in the past 100 years. His strength had undergone a qualitative change. However, Lu Ming felt that his potential had not been used up yet. He had not reached his limit yet. If he continued to cultivate in seclusion, he could still have breakthroughs. Lu Ming planned to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time before going out to temper himself. Lu Ming, get out here. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when a loud roar came from outside. Lu Ming came out from his cultivation and frowned slightly. Could it be that someone is challenging me? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. There was a rule in the interstellar camp. As long as a genius who had just joined the interstellar camp defeated someone and occupied a courtyard, they would have 50 years of safety. In these 50 years, they could reject the challenge of others. When he had just joined the interstellar camp, many people had challenged Lu Ming, but they were all rejected by Lu Ming. Now that 50 years had passed, others could challenge him now. Is it the Jin family, the Qin family, or the Wingman family? Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He then stood up and stepped out. As soon as he walked out of his room, he saw Chiu Moon walking out of her room as well. All these years, Chiu Moon had been cultivating in seclusion to break through to the Divine King realm. However, it was not easy to break through to the Divine King realm. Even though Chiu Moon was extremely talented and had the inheritance of the Divine I Lord of Heaven, she still had not broken through. Young master, what happened? Chiu Moon asked. I don't know. Let's go out and take a look. Lu Ming smiled as he opened the door of the courtyard and walked out. As soon as he walked out, he saw a group of people surrounding the courtyard. They were all geniuses of the interstellar camp. The group of people had their eyes on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you finally came out? A young man in a golden robe spoke first. Judging from his voice, it was obvious that he was the one who had asked Lu Ming to get out. Chapter 31:22. Are you from the Jin clan? Lu Ming stared at the golden-robed young man and asked. That's right. The golden-robed young man replied. Oh, so you want to challenge me? Lu Ming's voice turned cold. He took a step forward and a powerful aura pressed down on the golden-robed young man. The golden-robed young man was frightened and took a few steps back. Who said I want to challenge you? The golden-robed young man said in a panic. If you don't want to challenge me, why are you yelling here? Are you tired of living? Lu Ming's face turned colder and his eyes flickered like lightning. The golden-robed young man shuddered and took a few steps back. The golden-robed young man felt embarrassed and yelled, Lu Ming, why are you being so arrogant in front of us? Go ahead and be arrogant in front of the people of the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence if you dare. That's right, Lu Ming. You're hiding in the starry camp and making us suffer the wrath of the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence. Do you still have any shame? Another young man with a scale on his forehead yelled. He was obviously from the Qin clan. Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence? Lu Ming was stunned. What did this have to do with the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence? Brother Wu, what's going on? Lu Ming looked at the other two young men. They were Wu Ming and Wu Yu. Brother Lu, it's like this. Wu Ming and Wu Yu immediately walked over and explained to Lu Ming. It turned out that the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence had brought a group of geniuses to the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence to promote the interaction between the young geniuses. The geniuses of the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence had been challenging others as soon as they arrived at the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence. Many geniuses in the Starry Camp had been challenged recently. For a period of time, there had been a lot of battles. Although both sides had their victories and defeats, the people of the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence had cultivated saber skills and possessed great offensive strength. Therefore, the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residence had the upper hand overall. On top of that, some of the young men in the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King's residence had challenged Lu Ming by name. They wanted Lu Ming to come out and die. However, during this period of time, Lu Ming was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation and was completely unaware of what was happening in the outside world. The Starry Sky Camp was an important place in the nine-extinction Heavenly King Palace. Outsiders were not allowed to enter. It was normal that Lu Ming did not know about it. However, how could the Qin family, and Wing family, who had great enmity with Lu Ming, let go of Lu Ming so easily? Therefore, they personally brought people to Lu Ming's residence, wanting to force Lu Ming out and let Lu Ming face the challenge of the Nine Blades Heavenly King residence. After hearing this, Lu Ming understood. Previously, Lu Ming had killed many of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's geniuses in the Star Crescent ancient city. However, other than Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and a few others, no one knew that he had killed young Master Heavenly Mantis. However, many people knew that he had killed Chu Baxing. It was normal for the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's geniuses to challenge him. Lu Ming, if you hide, the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence will vent their anger on us. If you hide, we will take the blame for you. How dare you? That's right. Hurry up and face the challenge. After the Jin family and Qin family's instigation, the others began to shout. The Jin family, Qin family, and Wing family had instigated many other families' geniuses to come together. Where are the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's people? Lu Ming asked nonchalantly. He had cultivated for more than 150 years, and his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was just about to stretch his body when the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's people came at the right time. Although he knew that the Jin family and Qin family wanted to force him to fight the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's people, he had nothing to fear. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's geniuses are in the Heavenly King district. The golden-robed young man from the Jin family could not wait to shout. The nine-extinction Heavenly King residence was divided into many districts. The Heavenly King district was the core of the Heavenly King residence. It was also the most prosperous district of the nine-extinction Heavenly King residence. Heavenly King district? Lu Ming smiled and said to Wu Ming and Wu Yu, "Brother Wu, let's go and beat up the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's people." Brother Lu, you have to be careful. There are many divine king realm geniuses from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence this time. Wu Ming quickly reminded Lu Ming with concern. Although Lu Ming was almost invincible among those below the divine king realm, the divine king realm geniuses were too strong. They were worried for Lu Ming. Divine king realm geniuses? Great. Let's go. Haha. Lu Ming laughed heartily and walked towards the exit of the Starry Sky Camp. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming's strength is shocking. Even Jin Yuan was killed by him. I wonder how he will fare against the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence's people? There's going to be a good show. Some of the young men discussed as they followed Lu Ming from afar like a long tail. Lu Ming, Wu Ming, and Wu Yu walked at the front. After leaving the Starry Sky Camp, they turned into a few rays of light and continued to head towards the Heavenly King district. Soon, they arrived at the Heavenly King district. Looking from afar, there were countless majestic buildings built on the ground. At a glance, it was boundless and there was no end in sight. This place was an incomparably huge city. It was just that there were no walls. Some of the buildings were built on the ground while some were suspended in the air. From afar, they could see living beings of different races flying around. It was a lively and bustling scene. Where are the people from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence? Lu Ming turned around and asked the young men from the Jin family and Qin family. They are in the battle zone on the west side. The young man in the golden robe from the Jin family quickly replied. He could not wait for Lu Ming to go there. The battle zone on the west side? Lu Ming was puzzled. It was his first time in the Heavenly King district, and he had no idea what was going on here. The battle zone is where the Heavenly King district is for people to spar with each other. Lu Ming, come with us. Wu Ming said and flew forward. They flew past countless buildings and soon arrived at an open area. There were many battle stages built on the open area. At that moment, two young men were fighting fiercely on the battle stage in the middle. The battle stage was surrounded by spectators. They flew over. The two young men fighting on the battle stage were both half-step divine kings. One of them used a saber, and it was obvious that he was a genius from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. The other used a long sword. The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows, and it was difficult to determine the winner. In the end, both of them left the battle stage. Shush! After the two young men left the battle stage, a spear radiance flashed and a young man in armor landed on the battle stage. His aura was violent, and a spear radiance shot up to the sky from his body. A huge spear shadow appeared between the heavens and earth, stirring up the void. An ancient and desolate aura was emitted from it. Half-step Divine King, origin Divine Force Factor, someone said in a solemn voice. He is a peerless genius from the war god family of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. His name is Chubatian. He is a half-step Divine King, and he has awakened the origin Divine Force Factor. His strength is terrifying. He is the one who has been challenging Lu Ming. Someone whispered. Lu Ming naturally heard what they said. Chapter 31-23. Chu Baishan's eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. Where's Lu Ming? Is he still a coward? Tell him to come out and face his death. Didn't I tell you that Lu Ming is cultivating in the Starry Camp? Someone replied, what a coward. Fine, if he doesn't come out, I'll challenge all of you. Who wants to fight? Chu Batian roared in a domineering manner. Many people from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King residents had ugly expressions on their faces. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. Chu Batian was the descendant of the War God clan, and his battle prowess was extremely strong. Some time ago, there was a half-step Divine King from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King residents who had awakened the origin Divine Force and fought with Chu Batian. However, he was no match for Chu Batian. No one below the Divine King realm could defeat him. However, Chu Batian was a half-step Divine King. If they sent a Divine King realm genius to deal with him, it would be embarrassing even if they won. No one dares to fight? Humph. The people from the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King residents are a bunch of trash. Chu Batian scolded, his arrogance growing. Lu Ming, since you're here, why don't you fight? At this moment, a voice resounded throughout the entire place. The person who shouted was the young man in golden robe from the Jin family. His eyes were gleaming with pride. He wanted to expose Lu Ming and let Lu Ming fight with Chu Batian. If Lu Ming lost, he would be killed by Chu Batian. If Lu Ming won, he would offend the War God clan. It was killing two birds with one stone. What? Lu Ming is here? Where is he? Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. Over there. Finally, someone who had seen Lu Ming pointed in the direction where Lu Ming was. Almost everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming. On the battle stage, Chu Baishan's eyes shone brightly. His body emitted a strong, killing intent as he locked onto Lu Ming. Lu Ming also looked at Chu Batian. However, Lu Ming's gaze was calm and even contained a trace of disdain. With his current strength, Chu Batian wasn't a threat to him at all. You're Lu Ming? How dare you kill a member of my war god family? Get down here and die. Chu Batian bellowed. You're no match for me. Lu Ming said indifferently. Many people were stunned by his words. Lu Ming's words were too arrogant, right? The other party was a peerless genius of the War God clan, an invincible character beneath the God King realm. Yet, Lu Ming did not place the other party in his eyes at all. Arrogant. If you have the strength, then come down here and fight, not just with your mouth. Chu Batian said coldly. Although he had heard that Chu Baxing had died at the hands of Lu Ming in the Star Crescent ancient city, he had heard that Lu Ming had killed Chu Baxing. However, he did not believe that Chu Baxing had been killed by Lu Ming in broad daylight. He was well aware of Chu Baxing's strength, which was about the same as his. How could Lu Ming kill Chu Baxing when he was several layers above him? Impossible. He believed that Chu Baxing must have been under some kind of restriction in the Star Crescent ancient city, which was why he was killed by Lu Ming. Since you're asking for it, I'll fulfill your wish. Lu Ming said indifferently. He took a step forward and landed on the battle stage, facing Chu Batian. Everyone's gaze fell on the two of them. Who do you think is stronger between Lu Ming and Chu Batian? Some people began to discuss. I think Chu Batian, the genius of the War God clan. He's unparalleled in battle strength and is almost invincible beneath the God King realm. Someone sighed. Don't forget, Lu Ming killed Jin Yuan. That's right. Lu Ming is also a monster. It seems like we'll have to fight to find out who's the winner. Chu Baishan's eyes narrowed when he heard the crowd's discussion. Lu Ming killed Jin Yuan? Was Lu Ming really that strong? Boom. Chu Baishan's body erupted with a powerful aura. He did not dare to be careless when he heard the crowd's discussion. A dense, desolate, and ancient aura filled the air. Whoosh. Following that, a spear appeared in his hand. The spear vibrated, and a spear light pierced towards Lu Ming's throat. Lu Ming did not take out his spear. Instead, he used his divine force to form a spear and stabbed it towards Chu Batian. Boom. The two spear lights collided, and a violent explosion erupted. It was as if two meteors had collided. Then, a violent force rushed towards Chu Batian. Chu Baxing's body trembled, and he was forced to retreat. Overlord Spear Force? Lu Ming said in a low voice. There was no doubt that Chu Baishan's divine force was the Overlord Spear Force cultivated by the Overlord Spear Art. Is that all you've got? Lu Ming spoke nonchalantly, his tone full of disdain. Damn it! Chu Baishan's heart trembled, and then he was enraged. Strike of the War God! Chu Batian roared, and his divine force surged. Then, a giant appeared in the sky. The giant was clad in battle armor and wielded a spear. His battle intent surged as he stabbed his spear at Lu Ming. Strike of the War God! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, Lu Ming's body moved, and he rushed up to meet the strike of the War God. Boom! This time, the explosion was even more intense. Lu Ming's body drifted backward, and the huge God of Combat also retreated continuously. Of course, it wasn't that Lu Ming couldn't stop the War God. Lu Ming retreated on purpose. During this period of time, he had begun to comprehend the War God clan's divine skill, Strike of the War God. Lu Ming was fighting with Chu Batian, so he could take the opportunity to comprehend the Strike of the War God. This would be beneficial to his cultivation, so Lu Ming purposely retreated to allow Chu Batian to fully unleash the Strike of the War God. As expected, Chu Batian saw that he couldn't defeat Lu Ming with his first move, so he roared again and used the Strike of the War God again to attack Lu Ming. The giant War God held a spear in his hand, and spear shadows filled the sky. Sky-piercing! Lu Ming shook his spear, and spear shadows shot out like shooting stars. Boom! 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 Lu Ming fought with Chu Batian as he tried to comprehend the Strike of the War God. In a battle, one's comprehension of a divine skill was the fastest. Lu Ming's comprehension of the Strike of the War God was rapidly improving. Chu Batian was getting more and more anxious. He had already unleashed his full strength, but he still couldn't take down Lu Ming. On the other hand, Lu Ming was only a 7th-level celestial god. He finally realized how terrifying Lu Ming's battle prowess was. It was possible that he could kill Chu Batian with his own battle prowess. Chu Batian was starting to think of retreating. It's about time, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he changed the direction of his spear. Dazzling divine power soared into the sky, and a giant war god appeared. This god of war was almost identical to the one that Chu Batian had conjured. Strike of the War God. In the battle just now, Lu Ming had finally comprehended the Strike of the War God. He was able to create a giant war god to attack with. Strike of the War God. How can you use the Strike of the War God? Chu Batian roared in disbelief. Chapter 31:24. Chu Batian roared in disbelief. His eyes widened in disbelief. Lu Ming could use the War God Strike too? He was dumbfounded. Whoosh! Lu Ming's War God Strike pierced towards Chu Baishan's War God Strike with his spear. The long spear whistled through the air. It was a terrifying sight to behold. Chu Batian finally reacted and controlled his War God to block the attack. Boom! The two huge War Gods collided, creating a shockwave. However, as soon as the two War Gods collided, cracks began to appear on Chu Baishan's War God. The cracks spread all over his body like a spider web. Then, with a bang, it exploded. Puff! Chu Batian spat out a mouthful of blood as he retreated. Die! Lu Ming shouted softly. The god of combat in the sky moved his arm, and the long spear pierced toward Chu Batian. In an instant, he traversed the space and charged toward Chu Batian. Ah! Chu Batian screamed in fear as he was enveloped by the cold, killing intent. Stop! At this moment, a figure dashed out from the edge of the fighting stage with shocking speed. Before the figure arrived, a terrifying spear gleam, as large as a mountain, swept toward the god of combat that Lu Ming had condensed. The violent shockwave engulfed the war god, causing it to shake violently. Then, it exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. In the next moment, a young man in black armor appeared in front of Chu Batian. A violent aura surged out from him like a tidal wave. A divine king. The young man was a divine king, and he was a genius. The divine power that he possessed was of the divine grade. Lu Ming could see that his opponent was in the first layer of the divine king realm. As expected, my understanding of the war god strike isn't enough, Lu Ming muttered, not showing the slightest fear. Although a first layer of the divine king realm was much stronger than a half-step divine king, Lu Ming wasn't afraid of him. The reason why his war god was destroyed by his opponent's spear was because he didn't understand the war god strike well enough. Lu Ming, Chu Wei, will be your opponent, said the genius of the first king god layer coldly. His aura was wild as he displayed the prestige of a king god realm warrior. You're shameless. You're a genius at the divine king realm. How dare you attack a heavenly god? Wu Ming roared. Chu Wei's face turned slightly red. An exalted divine king actually challenged a 7th-level celestial deity existence. It was indeed somewhat embarrassing. However, he had to kill Lu Ming today. Otherwise, wouldn't their war god clan be looked down upon by others? How glorious was the war god clan in the past? Over the years, they had continuously declined. They no longer had their former glory. But in this generation, the war god family was filled with geniuses. Peerless geniuses were popping up like bamboo shoots after the rain. This made the people of the war god family ambitious. They wanted to regain their former glory. At this time, how could they be suppressed by others? Therefore, even though he knew it would be embarrassing, he still had to attack and kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you killed a genius of my war god clan. You must die. Chu Wei roared. His intention was clear. This wasn't an ordinary duel. It was for revenge. In this case, he had a reason to attack. Shameless is shameless. What's the point of finding excuses? Wu Yu shouted. Humph. Chu Wei snorted and ignored Wu Ming and Wu Yu. He took a step forward, and a powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. Obviously, he wanted to force Lu Ming to fight. Come. At this moment, Lu Ming's calm voice was heard. Although his voice was calm, it was filled with a powerful battle intent. Lu Ming had seen many ordinary divine kings and had fought with them many times. However, he had never fought against a genius divine king with divine force. He was looking forward to it. Lu Ming's voice silenced the scene. No one had expected that Lu Ming would dare to accept the challenge. Kill. Chu Wei no longer hesitated and attacked. He waved his spear, and a huge spear light pressed down on Lu Ming. He had the intention to crush Lu Ming into meat paste. The powerful divine force of a divine king surged out, and its power was terrifying. A mighty force spread out in all directions. Divine dragon aspect? Lu Ming whispered and displayed the divine dragon aspect art. The divine force in his body went berserk and rushed out crazily. Roar, roar, roar. 9-clawed dragon formed in the sky. In an instant, 5 9-clawed dragons were formed. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they rushed towards Chu Wei. Boom, boom. The 9-clawed dragon collided with Chu Wei's spear light and exploded, turning into a vast energy that rushed out in all directions. You can't stop me. Die. Chu Wei shouted. His divine force surged, and the spear light continued to press down on Lu Ming. Is that so? Although the 5 9-clawed dragon were defeated, Lu Ming's face was still calm. He continued to throw out punches. The dragon roars sounded again, shaking the heavens and earth. In the next moment, more than 10 9-clawed dragon appeared in the sky. Yes, there were 15 of them. After more than 150 years of cultivation and under the guidance of Blue Merchant, Lu Ming's understanding of the divine dragon aspect art had improved greatly. Now, he could form 15 divine dragon aspects in one breath. 15 huge, 9-clawed dragon covered the sky. Their bodies were winding, and their dragon aura was shocking. Many of the onlookers narrowed their eyes and exclaimed, "There are so many 9-clawed dragon. What kind of secret technique is this? What a shocking secret technique!" While the crowd was still in shock, the 15 9-clawed dragon had already rushed towards Chu Wei. The spear light that Chu Wei had condensed began to vibrate intensely. Then, with a loud boom, it exploded. After destroying Chu Wei's spear light, the remaining 9-clawed dragon continued to pounce on Chu Wei. Chu Wei's face changed and he shouted, "Strike of the war god!" The armor on his body shone brightly and a huge war god appeared in the sky. It held a spear and looked mighty. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The spear in the war god's hand trembled, and countless spear shadows burst forth, one after another, towards the 9-clawed divine dragon. Chu Wei had used the ultimate move of the war god clan. Even though Chu Wei hadn't awakened his origin god force yet, his awakening rate had already reached 90%. On top of that, he was a god king, so the might of his god of war strike was far greater than that of Chu Batian and Chu Batian. The sky above the fighting stage was boiling. Waves of energy spread out as if they were going to devour everything. The two fought intensely, and it was hard to determine the winner. A divine king is indeed much stronger than a half-step divine king. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. 4 geniuses like Chu Batian and Chu Baxing, their battle prowess could definitely suppress ordinary cultivators of the first layer of the godly king realm. However, they weren't a match for geniuses like Chu Wei. Lu Ming could easily defeat Chu Batian, but it would not be easy for him to defeat Chu Wei. Chapter 31-25. Lu Ming could easily defeat Chu Batian, but it wouldn't be so easy to deal with Chu Wei. Of course, this was because Lu Ming hadn't transformed into his ancient god body. Once he did, it would be easy to deal with Chu Wei. However, Lu Ming didn't want to use his ancient god body for the time being. Ice shackles. With a thought, Lu Ming sent out 9 ice shackles towards Chu Wei like 9 long snakes. The 9 ice shackles easily passed through the waves of energy and swept towards Chu Wei. Before the ice shackles reached him, the terrifying chill had already caused Chu Wei's expression to change. War God Gallop. Chu Wei roared as his spear changed, emitting an even more terrifying wave of energy. Another god of war appeared in the sky. However, this god of war was slightly different from the previous one. This war god was riding on a huge warhorse. With this, the war god's movements were much more agile. As for Chu Wei himself, he stood on top of the war god's head. The warhorse stepped on the air, causing the sky to rumble. Like a phantom, it flashed out of the range of the ice shackles and charged towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! A huge spear light pierced towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. The war god strike can be used like this. It's really strange. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The 9 ice chains rapidly retracted and formed a wall in front of him. The spear gleam bombarded the wall formed by the ice chains and was successfully blocked. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the ice shackles became stronger and stronger. Their defensive power also increased. After blocking the attack, the ice shackles moved and immediately counterattacked, wrapping around Chu Wei. At the same time, Lu Ming punched out with both his fists. Another 15 9-clawed dragon condensed in the sky and pounced towards Chu Wei from all directions, blocking his path of retreat. Moon slashing. After unleashing the divine dragon Dharma idol, Lu Ming immediately took out his long spear and unleashed the move Moon Beheading, chopping down towards Chu Wei. A crescent-shaped spear light slashed towards Chu Wei. At the same time, Lu Ming displayed 3 kinds of attacking methods, his attacks raining down like a storm. Chu Wei's expression was extremely grave. He also used all of his means to resist with all his strength. He first swung away the ice chains, but the 9-clawed dragon followed up with another attack. When he blocked the 9-clawed dragon's attack, the moon slash struck again. In the end, Chu Wei wasn't able to block the moon-slashing strike, and the strike landed on the war god's head. The war god shook violently before exploding. The surging energy rushed towards Chu Wei, causing him to retreat tens of thousands of meters and cough up a mouthful of blood. Kill. Lu Ming did not give Chu Wei the slightest chance to catch his breath. He rushed forward with his spear, and in an instant, 3 crescent-shaped spear lights slashed towards Chu Wei. Chu Wei was injured and could not use much strength at all. Even if he tried his best, it was useless. He barely blocked 2 of the crescent-shaped spear lights, but he could not block the third one. The third crescent-shaped spear light slashed Chu Wei's body, sending him flying out of the battle stage. Boom! Chu Wei crashed heavily on the ground and slid on the ground for tens of thousands of meters, dragging a deep trench in the ground. Chu Wei lay in the trench, coughing up blood continuously. His aura was extremely weak. The battle armor on his body had been split open, almost splitting him in half. Chu Wei, defeated miserably. The scene was silent. Many people who saw Lu Ming fight for the first time were really shocked. Lu Ming's battle strength was too strong. He was only a 7th-level heavenly god, but he defeated Chu Wei. Chu Wei was not an ordinary divine king, but a genius divine king who controlled divine power. Yet, he was still no match for Lu Ming. Such battle prowess could be said to be terrifying. Terrifying, truly terrifying. Many people heaved a sigh of relief, their faces full of shock. 9 Sabers Heavenly King Residence, Battle God family? You can't even withstand a single blow. Lu Ming looked down at Chu Wei and said indifferently. This made Chu Wei and Chu Baishan's faces turn ugly. Humiliation. This was a great humiliation. The Battle God family had many geniuses in this generation. They wanted to rise up, but they were defeated by Lu Ming consecutively. This was undoubtedly a great blow to the Battle God family's reputation. Arrogant brat, do you think you can insult the Battle God family? You're courting death. A cold rebuke was heard from afar. Then, a group of youths stepped on the air and came over. There were more than 20 youths in this group. Most of them carried battle sabers on their backs. Their auras were as sharp as battle sabers. It's the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Residence's geniuses? Someone exclaimed. Obviously, more geniuses from the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Residence had arrived. The geniuses from the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Residence who were nearby were only a small part of the group. Now, more of them had arrived. The geniuses from the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Residence were very fast. In a few breaths' time, they had arrived. Swoosh! One of the youths was very domineering. He slashed his saber at Lu Ming from afar. A huge energy saber spanned hundreds of miles and slashed at Lu Ming violently. Rumble! The air in the sky churned with a terrifying howl as if it was going to split the area in half. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. His opponent had slashed at him from so far away. However, the power of this slash made Lu Ming's face turn solemn. This was because the power of this slash had surpassed Chu Wei's strongest attack. Divine Dragon Dharma form? Lu Ming shouted and quickly waved his hands. Dragon roars could be heard as 15 9-clawed dragons appeared and charged forward. At the same time, 9 ice chains flew out and formed a layer of defense in front of Lu Ming. Meanwhile, a layer of 9-layered golden armor appeared on Lu Ming's body. Bam! 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 In the next moment, there was a violent explosion. The 15 9-clawed dragons collapsed and were defeated one by one. Then, the energy saber slashed at the defensive wall formed by the ice chains. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Sparks flew and the ice chains shook. In the end, a crack appeared on the ice chains. The terrifying saber chi passed through the crack and slashed at the 9-layered golden armor. Dong! Lu Ming's body shook violently and he retreated until he reached the edge of the fighting ring. Origin Divine Power Factor. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. The youth who had attacked just now was also a First Heaven Divine King. However, he had awakened the Origin Divine Power Factor, and his combat strength was much stronger than Chu Wei's. It's the Origin Divine Power Factor. Everyone exclaimed when they felt the aura of the youth. Swoosh! The youth took a step forward and landed on the fighting ring. A cold aura shrouded Lu Ming. How dare you humiliate the Nine Sabers, Heavenly King residents, and the War God family? Who gave you the courage? How arrogant! Come, let's fight. The young man shouted coldly. He was arrogant and domineering. He did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. Although Lu Ming was strong, he was confident that he could easily crush Lu Ming. Chapter 31:26. A Divine King Elite who has awakened the origin divine force factor? Lu Ming murmured as a strong battle intent emanated from his body. Lu Ming finally felt some pressure from such a person. Chu Baxing, Chu Batian, and the others were only half-step divine kings. Their battle prowess was already terrifying after awakening the origin divine force factor. They could even defeat divine king experts who were a whole realm higher. Once someone like him reached the divine king realm, his battle prowess would skyrocket. The rate of increase would be extremely shocking. They were all in the first layer of the divine king realm. Such a person could easily kill Chu Wei. Lu Ming was not afraid. Instead, he was excited. His battle prowess had also increased tremendously over the years. He wanted to fight with all his might. Come, let me see your strength. Don't disappoint me like the previous two. Lu Ming said. Many people's eyelids twitched when they heard that. Lu Ming was really bold. He wanted to challenge his opponent. Could it be that Lu Ming could really fight such a person? That would be too terrifying. Although Lu Ming could defeat Chu Wei, he's definitely not a match for this person. The difference between an awakened origin divine force factor and an awakened origin divine force factor is too big. That's right. It's too difficult to bridge the gap. Many people shook their heads secretly. They did not think that Lu Ming could defeat his opponent. Ha ha ha. A seventh layer heavenly god dares to talk to me like that. Good, good, good. This trip to the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence has broadened my horizons. Come, let's see how many moves you can take from me. The genius from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence laughed arrogantly. Then, his body shook and the battle saber on his back was unsheathed. A mighty saber aura soared into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. Seeing that his opponent was about to attack, Lu Ming circulated the divine force in his body. He wanted to transform into his ancient god body to fight against his opponent. A divine king who has awakened the origin divine force factor wants to fight against a seventh layer heavenly god. Does the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence think that the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence is a pushover? At this moment, a voice came from afar. Then, a group of people flew over. In the next moment, a group of young geniuses appeared in the sky. The person in the lead was dressed in luxurious clothes. He had a handsome appearance and a dignified aura emanated from him as he stood there. It's the third prince. Greetings to the third prince. Many people bowed when they saw him. It turned out that this person was the son of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King. He was also the third prince of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, Nine Extinction Mu. He was also a peerless genius. On the fighting ring, the young man with a saber on his back said coldly. He stared at the third prince like two divine sabers. Divine kings. A terrifying aura burst out from the third prince's body, which was filled with an ancient desolation aura. The powerful aura pushed away the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence's genius. Nine Extinction Mu, you better not interfere. This man killed a genius of the War God clan in Starry Crescent Ancient City. He must die. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence's genius said coldly. What a joke. In Star Crescent Ancient City, it's common for people to fight for treasures and kill each other. In the past, many people from my Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace died in your hands. Are you saying that you're allowed to kill our people and we're not allowed to kill yours? The third prince retorted. He killed the son of a big shot from the War God clan. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence's genius said coldly. I don't care who he is. If you want to fight, I'll fight with you. The third prince was very domineering. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose. He wanted to fight with the third prince to test his strength. He did not expect the third prince to interfere, and he would not get what he wanted. However, Lu Ming did not mind. If he wanted to make a move, there were many opponents. 9 Extinction Mu. Are you trying to bully me with your numbers? The 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence's genius said coldly. As soon as he said that, the other geniuses from the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence unleashed their auras. Most of them were at the Divine King realm. With so many people's auras gathered together, it was shocking. So what if we have more people? Remember, this is the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence. In the next moment, the young geniuses who came with the third prince also unleashed their auras. We're willing to fight with the third prince. Then, some of the people who were watching the fight shouted and unleashed their auras. We're willing to fight with the third prince. Then, more people followed suit and shouted. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, thousands of auras shot up to the sky and pressed down on the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence's geniuses. With so many people unleashing their auras at the same time, it was too shocking. The 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence's auras were crushed. Their bodies shook violently and their faces turned pale. What are you doing? Are you trying to start a war with the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence? One of the geniuses from the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence shouted. Let's start a war. I'm not afraid of you. The third prince shouted coldly. He was domineering and did not back down. His aura continued to press down on the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence's geniuses. At the same time, the other people's auras gathered together and pressed down on the other party. The 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence's geniuses trembled violently as if they were about to be forced to their knees. Their faces flushed red as they resisted with all their might. However, if this continued, they would be injured sooner or later. They might even be forced to their knees. They were all top geniuses. If they were forced to their knees, it would be a great humiliation to the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Residence. Boom. At this moment, there seemed to be an explosion in the sky. A terrifying aura came crashing down like a tidal wave. This aura was too terrifying. It was mighty and filled with supreme aura. It was high up in the sky and could not be resisted. In front of this aura, everyone was like an ant. As the aura pressed down, everyone's aura collapsed. They were as vulnerable as tofu. 9 Extinction Mu, Lu Ming, and most of the people at the scene trembled violently as if they were struck by lightning. Their bodies trembled and they spat out a mouthful of blood. The aura of a Sir God. Bone Demon roared in his consciousness. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock. He could also feel that this was definitely the aura of a Sir God. Lu Ming had sensed Sikong Nan's aura and the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King's aura. The aura now was very similar to Sikong Nan and the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King's aura. It was on the same level. In fact, it was even more terrifying than Sikong Nan. It was more profound and unfathomable. The others also looked horrified. There were so many people at the scene, but they were easily suppressed by the other party. The person who came was definitely a terrifying expert. Chapter 31:27. The aura in the sky continued to spread out, as if an incomparably terrifying beast was about to appear. Then, a figure appeared in the sky. The figure was shrouded in divine light, and his appearance could not be seen clearly. However, he gave off a majestic feeling. All of the aura was being emitted from this person's body. Sky King, it's the Sky King. The Sky Prides of the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King Residents were overjoyed. Sky King, it's the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King. The people at the scene were shocked. That person was the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King. The 9 Sabers, Heavenly King had personally taken action. 9 Sabers, what are you doing? You dare to attack my people in my territory? Do you think I'm easy to deal with? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. No one knew where this voice came from, but it suddenly spread in all directions. As the voice sounded, a mysterious aura also spread out. The terrifying aura on the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King was neutralized by the aura. Lu Ming, 9 Extinction Mu, and the others felt the pressure on them lessen as they let out a long sigh. They felt that their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. Facing the 9 Sabers, Heavenly King, they were under too much pressure as if they were facing a disaster at any time. It was an unbearable feeling. Sir God, Lu Ming clenched his fists and once again felt the power of a Sir God. In front of such an expert, he could not even resist. He could not even muster up the thought of resisting. The difference was too great. Father! At this moment, the third prince shouted in surprise. It's the Nine Extinction Heavenly King. Many people were shocked. In the next moment, the space above everyone's head rippled and a figure appeared. Lu Ming recognized the figure at a glance. It was the Nine Extinction Heavenly King. Lu Ming was a little speechless. He did not expect that the fight between him and a few sky prides of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residents would attract the attention of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King and the Nine Sabers Heavenly King. The two Heavenly Kings were important figures even in the Taishu dynasty. Nine Extinction. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King whispered as his eyes emitted a dazzling light. A terrifying aura rushed towards the Nine Extinction Heavenly King. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King also unleashed his aura. Boom! The two auras collided, causing the space to tremble violently. It was as if the entire starry sky was trembling violently. What shocked everyone the most was their hearts. Many people revealed looks of anticipation and apprehension. After obtaining the two Heavenly Kings, a great battle would break out today. The battle between Heavenly Kings would definitely be earth-shattering and destructive. Nine Blades, what do you want to do by coming to my Nine Absolute Heavenly King mansion? If you really want to fight with me, then let's fight. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King's voice resounded throughout the entire place, sonorous and powerful. Juju, what are you nervous about? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King grinned. He quickly withdrew his aura and became as still as a rock. Not a single trace of aura leaked out. At the same time, the divine light on his body disappeared, revealing his true appearance. It was a middle-aged man with a square face. His face was chiseled like a knife. When he opened and closed his eyes, it was as if there were terrifying saber lights bursting out. This was the Nine Sabers Heavenly King. Nine Blades, what are you trying to do? The Nine Extinction Heavenly King asked again. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King's strength was unfathomable. If they were to fight, he was not confident of winning. As for the Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion, other than him, no one was a match for the Nine Sabers Heavenly King mansion. That was why the other party dared to bring people to the Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion. I brought people here for a simple reason. The day of the Great Void Imperial Family's holy court is approaching. Wouldn't it be great to bring these sky prides here and let them spar with each other? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King smiled. On top of that, I've prepared a huge gift for you this time. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King added. Big gift? What gift? The Nine Extinction Heavenly King wrote. Would the Nine Sabers Heavenly King bring a big gift? He seriously doubted it. Everyone, please take a look. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King smiled. Then, his palm glowed and a pitch-black orb that kept spinning appeared in his hand. Everyone's eyes naturally fell on the orb. What's that? Many people were at a loss. However, a small number of people's pupils contracted as if they had thought of something. Could this be the legendary Divine Power Source Orb? An elder exclaimed, his voice trembling. What? Divine Power Source Orb? Impossible. How could the Nine Sabers Heavenly King be willing to take out the Divine Power Source Orb? The scene was noisy and boisterous. It was unbelievable. Those who had awakened the Divine Power Origin Factor could awaken the Origin Source Secret Technique from the Divine Power Origin Factor. This secret technique was hidden in the Divine Power Origin Factor. It was a secret technique that the primordial Divine Spirit controlled. This secret technique was mysterious and unfathomable with terrifying power. It was easy to use and could accompany a person for a lifetime. Its value was immeasurable. However, the probability of awakening it was extremely low. It was so low that it was shocking. Moreover, there was no pattern. It purely depended on one's talent. Some people could awaken the Origin Source Secret Technique after one awakening of the Divine Power Origin Factor. Some people could only awaken the Origin Source Secret Technique after 2 awakenings. Some people could only awaken the Origin Source Secret Technique after 3 awakenings. Moreover, among 10,000 people who had awakened the Divine Power Origin Factor, there might not even be one who could awaken the Origin Source Secret Technique. It was too difficult. However, there were all kinds of strange things in the boundless universe. There would always be all kinds of wonderful treasures. The Divine Power Origin Pearl was a kind of supreme treasure. It could help a person to understand the Divine Power Origin Factor's origin source secret technique with a success rate as high as 90%. This was almost equivalent to being able to understand an origin source secret technique, as long as one obtained a Divine Power Origin Pearl. This value was too precious. It was even more attractive to the younger generation of sky prides who were ambitious to fight for supremacy. However, there were too few Divine Power Origin Pearls. It was not something that could be obtained with a high cultivation base or a high status. It required luck and could only be found by chance. Unexpectedly, the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King had a Divine Power Origin Pearl. Many people's eyes were burning. If the Divine Power Origin Pearl was not in the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King's hands, the others would have opened fire. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King also looked surprised and said, "Nine Sabers, what is your purpose for taking out the Divine Power Origin Pearl?" "It's very simple. I plan to hold an event to let the Sky Prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residents and the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residents compete. Whoever can get the Divine Power Origin Pearl will have it. The others are not allowed to snatch it," the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King said. As soon as this was said, everyone was shocked. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King wanted to take out the Divine Power Origin Pearl and let the younger generation compete for it. Whoever could snatch it would have it. Even the Sky Prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residents were surprised. The Sky Prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residents and the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residents had burning eyes. Especially those Sky Prides who had awakened the Divine Power Origin Factor. Their eyes were burning. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.